guys, welcome to the Let Me Call You Back podcast. This comedy podcast features Declan Brooks, my brother, and an aspiring stand-up comedian on our weekly phone calls. We talk daily happenings of life, ludicrous news, and comical interactions with others while out and about in the world. Please enjoy.
Once you hear it from Babe's mouth, like from the mouth of lambs speaking, like, it makes sense. Marxism makes sense.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Move that closer to you.
What, the mic, though?
Crack another beer. I love that when they do it on podcasts. It's so every time you hear a crack.
It's like hearing a later flick from fucking, it's like listening to any Lil Wayne song. You're like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah. Like, a milli.
We are back. We are live. We are in person again for another fun one here, my friends. We have a friend of mine from the Philadelphia comedy scene here. First off, I want to introduce our lead anchor and board man. He does both. He's like a singing drummer. Give it up for Ray Brooks, my little brother.
Oh, God.
Yeah, applause.
For myself.
He's coming off of a fresh popper marathon. He actually did a marathon while doing poppers. No, I just like making fun of doing poppers.
Would you do an entire marathon after poppers or no?
Dude, I'm scared to do a chocolate milk mile.
Ooh.
I want to do one. Like a beer mile. You ever seen those people? You do
No,
it.
I've never
So
heard
like
of that.
on a high school track,
Yeah.
a mile is 4 laps. So each lap you chug a beer or you
I
drink
like
a
how
glass of
I
chocolate
like how you
milk.
say that like he has no idea what a mile is on a track.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, look at him. He might not.
Bro, I love drinking and being white trash. And my school doesn't have a chain link fence around it like they do in Philly.
So, make sure I say this last name correctly. We have Adomas Wareikis here.
Wareikis. Yeah.
Wareikis.
Good thing you didn't practice whatsoever.
Yeah, not at all.
It's really funny, like in the Philadelphia comedy scene, like you have to like give reverence to like you cannot like fuck up and say a foreigner's name wrong that is not white or like
Really?
yes. Any POC if you get on and you like just start like give it up for Ahmed. It's
They immediately
obviously-
get up there with some
It's very
attitude.
rude, but then it's like, oh, he's white. It's fine. It's great.
So, appearance-wise, you look incredibly white.
I am white.
Your name, what is the? Is it
Goes
Greek?
by William at karaoke, actually, by the way.
Yeah, I use my middle. I'm very nice to servers and people. Anytime you have to give your name, I do William because I'm lazy.
So, are you Greek?
No, that's Adonis, and
I thought that was close. Like, there's something Moss.
no.
He's just really into Taco Bell. He lives lost.
No, my name is Lithuanian.
Oh, okay.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
We're Lithuanian.
Hella white, dude.
Yeah, we're actually Lithuanian.
White as hell.
The three of us and John C. Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He's considered like
There's no one that's actually proudly Lithuanian, actually.
What? No, John C. Riley.
Yeah, right.
I've never heard him talk about it. Does he talk about that a lot?
He identifies as an Irish Lithuanian actor, which is what I am as well, but minus the actor.
That's fucking interesting. I love John C. Riley. He's such a good actor across the board and everything. I mean,
Fuck,
people
man.
like his comedic chops. His dramatic performances are actually a lot better than you expect from him.
It's when he can bring a dramaticness to a comedic role very well. If you've ever seen Cyrus,
I don't know
with
that
him,
one.
Jonah Hill, and Marissa Tomei,
Okay.
and
Declan does not like Jonah Hill.
Oh yeah, it's documented.
Oh,
that guy's
the
a
woke
cocksucker.
mind virus got you.
What?
The woke mind virus got
No,
you.
this is before.
You're
Dude,
jealous.
I've been on this bandwagon for a long time. He's a fat deserter. He turned on his
He
people.
turned on us.
He turned on his people and then acts like he's not one of us.
He
And
could have
then,
been Marlon Brando. He could have got fatter.
dude, I know. But the thing was, it's like you're supposed to wear it proudly. Like I was one of you, and you guys could be like me
That's
too.
what I'm talking. Dude, Lizzo's about to
he's-
do this.
Yeah,
She's about to go on that journey and just turn on all of them.
we were talking about last week how we're like, imagine being a self-hating fat. You bitches are all fat. I'm skinny. Fuck you.
That's the best. I used to be fatter. I'm
Yeah.
like 260, 275 area right
he's-
now.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
Good for you.
I carry, yeah, and like it works out, but like
What?
I get up near 300, it's just like shit.
Ooh.
That kid last night we were hanging out with from the dude. All right, we did karaoke last night.
Yeah.
We brought a kid along that I've only met, I think, last night for the first time. Did you know him? The other one, the kid that did "Love Me Sexy" and
Holy shit.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no. So that guy
That's
is
a crazy move.
he gets going up at mics and saying like kind of like just like you're not even being funny, you're just being racist, which is always hilarious.
He's from
like,
Bucks County.
It's like being a fly on the wall at that point. It's just like it's even better.
Bro, we go to karaoke and we tell him what's going on. He's like, so like you go up there and you just sing over the recorded track of the words. He's like, we're like, no, dude, you sing the words. It's like an instrumental. And he was like, what? And he's like, oh, well, I'm doing Love Me Sexy by Jackie Moon then. That was his fucking first song.
He probably thought Jackie Moon was a real person.
Yeah,
I don't think he's actually seen that movie.
Like, yeah, he just doesn't know it's Will Ferrell. Oh, hello, puppy dog. We have the infamous Roscoe with us as well. Roscoe Dash. Roscoe Jenkins. He's here holding it down. We're in Raymond's friend's house here, actually. We're recording the episode. He's dog sitting for the week.
So, right off the rip, what do you think? Like, what's the vibe here?
Grandma's house.
You think?
What grandma do you know is this cool?
A lot of there's some pretty wicked, awesome grandmas that have houses like this.
I just like that there's a full liquor cabinet and there's a shit ton of Legos right here.
Yeah. Well, she's a bartender. I bartend
And
with her.
there's a crab cracker holder, handmade.
That's
Looks
how
like
that's how you know they're from Baltimore. They have crabs here.
I know. So, Adomas, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a Philly-based comic now. Adomas is from Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm from South.
You look like you're from Ohio.
I said that to him last night.
I swear to God, like I have a couple of friends that moved here from Ohio, and same vibe.
I am not technically. I lived in Ohio. My dad was born on a military base in California. My mom is from Philly.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a bit of an asterisk on the Ohio thing.
Did you grow up your whole life there, though?
Yeah, my dad's whole family is from West Virginia. Like it's like 4 or 5 generations of like really stupid coal miners who all died in explosions or mine collapses, and
it's fucking dope.
And then I've got like some weird Native American thing in there as well. Like it's like yeah.
I like West Virginia, dude. I an old lady almost took her teeth out and molested me at a VFW in West Virginia.
Why'd she have to take her teeth out?
She was making her moves. She was like, look at this. Gummer.
I mean, I've met some really like nice like reformed meth heads in our area because like southeast Ohio, southwest and southeast Ohio are like pretty methy.
Yeah,
there's like a whole period where just houses were
all
blowing
messed
up.
up.
Like I don't know if you remember like the wave of like meth explosions that happened in a lot of areas.
I don't remember that, but I
worked
get
in
it.
Fort Wayne a lot.
Yeah.
So like that borderlands, the borderlands between southwest, southwest.
Sad. That should not be a state.
Yeah, no, dude.
Game preserve.
Can't believe. Yeah, dude. It should just be like a farm for whites because that's what that place is. I gotta be honest with you. Indiana's an interesting place, man. Yo, I'm there the one time for work, and I'm nefarious, so I always have to find weed somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm a crooked croc.
So you're looking for Mexico.
Crooked cop, obviously. The nearest place to get legal marijuanas at the time was north in Michigan, and I drove through the town that Jeepers Creepers was based on.
Really?
On that Indiana 9 going north into Michigan. Coldwater, Michigan.
Let me find this real quick. I have a great pivot for if you want to get scared because you drive around a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know?
It fucks me up, dude.
Do you know who Herb Baumeister is?
Who is Herb Baumeister?
I'm trying to figure out what road it was. It's the I-70 murders.
Okay.
And he was a serial killer that was he literally did not even bother burying bodies. He just left them everywhere.
He was just fast and loose.
Murdering people all over Indiana and Ohio and like Kentucky and all that.
Do you know
How many did he kill?
They don't know.
Wow.
He's got like a crazy...
So the Jeepers Creepers story was actually based on a murdering where a guy had a mental snap, killed his wife and child.
Sounds reasonable.
Buried them in a pipe in the back of a church. A young couple saw him burying them, and he murdered them and went on a 7-state killing spree and killed 17 people in a manhunt.
When year did that happen? Do you know? Like
I want to say 40s.
You know
50s
who that
maybe?
probably inspired? There's a movie called Badlands by Terrence Malick. It stars Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek, the girl from Carrie.
Okay, yeah.
And he literally goes on the exact murder spree that like by definition of what you just described.
Well, so you know the scene in Jeepers Creepers where they look and the guy's like got that crazy fucking truck and he's like stuffing bodies in that pipe in the back of the church where it's like the hiding place. It's like a flesh.
I have never seen Jeepers Creepers.
Oh
I only know
my
the director is a
God.
pedophile.
Really? Who is
like-
that?
He's like a serial rapist, and they let him back into Hollywood, no issue. They're like, you don't have to go to Poland; it's fine. You can come.
Well, who was it? I'm sorry, I forgot.
I forget the name. I just know the guy who directed Jeepers Creepers,
He's a raper.
and it's
You're
like,
like, I ain't watching Jeepers Creepers. That's full of rapers.
I draw the line at Jeepers Creeper.
Dude, it's a wild movie.
Yeah, but
in the movie though, like the idea is if
the
you
art from the artist.
separate the art from the artist. God. The fucking scene in the movie is there's like the demon guy stuffing people in a pipe, and like what the fuck's that actor's name? Isn't Jeepers Creepers that young white kid from Accepted and everything?
I couldn't even tell you.
I don't fucking know. Him and his sister see the guy stuffing the bodies in the pipe, and
Justin Long.
Justin Long, thank you.
Yeah, he got he did that movie Barbarian recently, and then he just got like canceled, quote unquote. Whatever. And
Yeah. He
Dude, they're getting everybody.
Dude, it was such a weird scene when I was out there because I was driving there late at night.
Yeah.
So I stopped at a smoke shop on the way back because I flew in. I didn't have a bowl to smoke, and I stop and this girl in there. I'm like, yeah, why is this place so creepy? She's like, you don't know? I'm like, what? What don't I know? Like, you don't say that to people. What don't you know? She's like, well, this is the town they based Jeepers Creepers on. That's why it's so creepy out here. It's legit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, you liar. I looked it up and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And I was driving home at night. And I'm like, this is the creepiest fucking road I've ever been on. It's all, dude, their highways go back and forth in between dirt roads.
Yeah.
It's fucking
we have
scary.
Where I'm at in my area, where I was raised in Southwest Ohio. I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. I live on a farm. We have a nice big farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. It's nice. I have 15 siblings, but I'm not in a cult.
Damn.
Yeah, my mom adopted.
Any Mennonites or Amish in your family?
I live in Mennonite and Amish country. They're weird. They're scary.
She adopted how many?
11.
Holy shit.
Yeah, my mom's a saint. She's full-time ER nurse. Both my parents work full-time, and I love my mom. She's the best.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's something unique to me that
That's
I love
wild.
my mother. But yeah, so I have like 11 adopted siblings. So we live out in the middle of nowhere, and
Your mom's dope. She's like, I'm just going to get a farm and we're going to get like 12 kids.
Let them run free.
I wish we could just put them all on a farm.
I have 15 siblings. I have more. It's just like 11 of them are adopted.
Oh, shit.
Or those numbers are off. I have no fucking idea.
That's nuts.
It's
dude.
a lot. We have a lot of kids.
That's awesome, though.
But where I live in Southern Ohio, it has the, I think, second largest percentage of UFO sightings in the country.
Nice.
Because we live south of Wright Pat Air Force Base, where they will fly the fighter jets that don't work. And you can literally, I remember one time you could literally see a pilot in like an F-15 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what they are anymore. And I'm going to guess the jets. And you would but everyone around there, like my friend's mom wrote a whole book about alien UFO sightings specifically, never abduction or anything. That's fun. Just seeing the ships. And it's just like, it's a weird little area right there. And then
You ever seen any UFOs? My uncle's actually a UFO. I was waiting for you to say that.
No, I don't think I have. I get really paranoid though, because like I'll go out in the woods alone, or which is like, why the fuck am I doing that? What is wrong with me?
I'm a paranoid
And I
person,
say
too.
alone, but actually I was out there with a woman a couple times in that sense. Like my friend's like, let's go for a walk in the middle of nowhere. I was like, sure. Fucking kitty.
I told you about that alien documentary I was talking to you about.
Yeah.
I was in my
Did you watch it?
Airbnb. Yeah, I was in my Airbnb by myself, and Remy
Fucking
keeps
dope.
telling me about alien stuff, and I'm like, dude, stop! I'm in a big apartment by myself. There's a lot of shadows. No joke. He got me so spun up, and I was like stoned. I walked into my big Airbnb because it was like a 3-bedroom type place, like 3-room type place. I got everything I needed from the kitchen, locked the door to the bathroom that connected to my bedroom, locked the door to the bedroom because I was like, dude, if aliens get me tonight, it's gonna be fucked. Like,
I've got a great story about
when they get you when you're thinking about them.
when we get to this book here in a little bit and some of this other stuff I got for you guys, I have a story about locking myself in a bathroom, just freaking out, like because I had like weird concurrences happen while reading this book in the middle of like a public place, and then I'm like, oh, time to freak out. But
So to introduce what we're doing here, Adomas is he's a creature of the night. I think it's the best way I can put it.
I know.
He definitely he was explaining to me his views in Marxism and his very common sense reality and belief system, and it makes sense. You know, he's a very educated person, has a strong, is a lot of what his belief system is based in common sense. So if you guys want to learn about more, no, he
just joined yesterday.
just joined yesterday. I got a cookie when I was there. No, he's got some pretty cool information to talk about with us today. We have I asked him to give us a little bit of a look into the cryptid view, as well as some nefarious characters on the East Coast that we may or may not be already familiar with, like some of the mob people, some of the nitty gritty between Pennsylvania, New Jersey, D.C., Baltimore, New York, the little stuff that like maybe considered conspiracy, as well as just interesting history that may may not be told to you in different words or different versions of the theories.
How did you get into this information?
I attended Southern State Community College for 3 years, and then while I was there, I got really into Bernie Sanders in 2016. That got me really into politics. And like, I shouldn't know who the Secretary of Education is. I shouldn't know who every single cabinet member of like Trump's cabinet is. I knew everything. I'm a nut. I can probably name I'm not going to do it, but I can probably name like 80 senators right now. I can tell you most like low level cabinet. I can tell you how the government works.
Can you tell me which one of them have the hottest wives?
A lot of them have really hot. The new senator from Alabama. She's a baby. Baby girl.
A rocket.
She's an Alabama slammer.
So like I studied, and then I transferred. I got my associate's degree, and then I went to Ohio University in Southeast Ohio, not Ohio State for anyone who.
The green one.
The green one, yeah.
Is that the
mascot's the one where the Pauls went? It's where the Logan Paul and Jake Paul went.
Or no?
Yeah, they have my favorite 9/11 post. Literally, it's Logan Paul taking a photo with his Arab roommate, being like, "So glad this guy didn't do 9/11." And it's just like,
what?
Look up that. It's beautiful. It makes me smile.
We should retweet that.
Yeah. And so like when I was there at OU, like I studied political science and history. I have not finished my degree. There's like an asterisk on that. I have 2 semesters of French.
Yeah, fuck them. It's all right.
And I hate college so much.
Yeah.
And so like I got really involved with like reading. I got kicked out at one point because I was just getting drunk all the time.
Oh yeah.
I hated being
Dude,
there.
You're preaching to that. We've dropped out of college a dozen times between.
And so like, and then like the pandemic happened in between that, and like I was like I had worked on I worked for the Ohio University Dems / like just the Dems for the state. Hated it. The guy who was running for governor of Ohio had been his big claim that he was going around. He's like, "Hey, I'd been on Jeopardy," and that was
they're like. Sold. That's
He's obviously the smartest guy in Ohio right now.
Yeah, he lost horribly, and it was really like a sad moment for me. I was like, whatever. And then I was like, this all fucking sucks. I hate this place. And like, I'm also like, you're not allowed to like learn about stuff. And like, Marxism is not really taught in colleges. Like everyone thinks of colleges as these very liberal institutions, but education is like a structural thing. It's very entrenched.
Yeah.
The most not conservative in the political sense, but conservative in like social sense are the views that are like advocated the most.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen like a lot of pushback around that type of stuff in the last couple of years, like who won World War II, and like that was a big thing that's been going around lately, where they'll be like, the Russians did, and it's like there's pretty good evidence for that. Whereas the whole thing was like it's because of the Americans, and it's like I don't know, man. A lot of Chinese people and Russian people died to beat those guys.
Yeah,
and so like you get weird stuff like that. Like there's been like reanalysis of history, and I also was just like. You can't keep going on this way. It's awful. I got really involved with like reading about labor history, and that kind of really radicalized me in a way. And like also, I was my stepdad's an Ancient Aliens guy, so
fuck yeah. Dude.
And so like I was like 9 years old reading the.
You didn't bring him with you? What the hell?
I would actually. When
I probably would have been the best part of
my stepdad rocks.
What's his name?
Chris. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I'll get him on the pod. He travels for work, so maybe I can. Can
I share this interesting fact? We can take this out later if you want, but he's also a fucking mailman.
Oh yeah, we can talk about him a mailman.
Yeah, he's a fucking mailman.
The number of mailmen who are just like outright Marxist are like hilarious. It's a high number.
Well, no.
Talk about going postal. Am I right?
Like, there are like 6 different guys I follow on Twitter that are all mailmen who are like Marxist in Philadelphia.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Well, a lot of union. We're all union. I'm National Association of Letter Carriers, and we tend to advocate a lot of stuff like that. Anyways, I keep like I need to get to where we're going.
No, it's okay. We're leading there. It's given the basis so people don't think you're full of shit. This guy's got some. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. Right?
I'm a history nut.
Yeah.
I was never really into like those guys that are like history guys. Like I in the sense of like they're like really obsessed with World War II or the Civil War. I'm like those are fine. Like,
really into like Grant and fucking all that bullshit.
And they're great. Like I do like that stuff. I like history a lot, but like. When you're in college, you meet a lot of guys with like that are really into Nazi Germany as their history program thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Did you ever read the book White Noise?
Don
DeLillo.
DeLillo. I did not read it. I watched the movie recently.
I haven't seen the movie.
And then I mean, half my state blew up. So.
Oh yeah. It's so weird.
Where they shot it.
It kind of told the story of what just happened recently, like you're saying about the explosions there, the airborne toxic events. Pretty nuts.
Reality. Film was supposed to be an abstraction of reality, Like it's supposed to be, but we've caught up. We have no longer like culture can no longer be something that we later meet. It's just it is what our life is now at all points. It's just where everything you see and everything you read will just show up now in your life.
The reason I brought it up is the main character. I think his name is Jack or J.K. Gladney. He's a professor.
Yeah, of Hitler Studies.
Of Hitler Studies, like the only guy in the whole country starting it. It's pretty.
Yes, there's some very weird people in academia.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had like we have people like a lot of history programs are very conservative of their views, and it's very weird.
Yeah.
I've been working on a joke about this on stage, and it's just like, if you take a political science course or history course, it's insanely fucking racist.
Yeah.
Like Chinese people, apparently, according to political science, they just don't understand democracy. That's just their thing, you know? The Middle Easterners, they can do anything. They can build high-speed rails. They can fucking develop mass society and do universal healthcare. They can't fucking understand democracy. And it's like, and like political science, like the thing with like, I had a beef with political science about it's like, they don't even have the decency to pull out calipers. At least those like old race scientists would just be like, hey, at least there's like this proven measurement. And it's like, it's all fake, but like, and so it's like right as might is all that ends up being. And
it's a theory based on nothing, it seems like. These assumptions about other...
Since we can't really address the white elephant in the room, which is how things are like allocated and resources are done, you have to make up all this other shit for it.
Yeah.
Political science is like horoscopes. You can subscribe to the realist view, the internationalist view, all this other bullshit like Intro 101 political science stuff. It doesn't matter, because we're still going to go do what we're going to do anyways. Like, oh, like, why are we in like Yugoslavia or Ukraine? And it's like, well, because that's how we make money for everyone here. Like, that's just how it is. Like, but you can't address it that way. It has to be, well, because of the nation building strategies that occur within these nations, it's stupid. You have to do horoscopes, and horoscopes are bullshit, and you can read them and you can find anything in them that works for you. It's great. And so it's just like, I hate it. I hate it a lot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, is your favorite part of history or the information that you like to educate yourself about in what we're going to talk about?
So the reason I like this stuff is that I think there's a direct connection with like Marxism and like understanding like how your government works and the rights of people and like unionized like labor. All of that is connected with the injustice that's perpetrated against its people. And state criminality is like a big thing I focus on. The crimes of the state, like, so like there's this basic theory in political sciences. The state holds the monopoly on violence. You give up your ability to do violence, so the state can therefore determine what is violence.
Okay.
And they can enact upon that. That's how the police work. That's how like what we determine punishments. Well, yeah, that's just how any like state works fundamentally, like, or at least like in the common way we teach it. But all I know is like, so if like the state holds this monopoly on violence, and that will come up again and again throughout this whole thing, what I'm going to talk to you about is they also hold the monopoly on investigating said violence. You can look at JFK, or how just like anyone who's been arrested and how evidence gets manufactured against them. For example, who's the Richard Jewell?
I don't know who that is.
Richard Jewell is the security guard for the 1996 Atlanta bombing that occurred, the Atlanta Olympic bombing.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood made a movie about him. It's probably one of his best movies.
Really?
What's the movie?
It's called Richard Jewell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn it.
They really missed a cross promotion thing though, where it's just a Jewel, like he's just, but it's Paul Walter Hauser playing.
Thinking about a guy ripping a jewel and blowing up in the Olympics is pretty funny.
Yeah, well, the FBI is like really bad at their job. They really should not have one, and they pretty much like the bombing occurs at the Olympics. This guy, the security guard at the park, had found it. They detonated, blah blah blah. He saved thousands of people's lives. He's a hero, and the FBI pretty much just tried to pin it on him because they didn't want to actually do their fucking job and like find who did it. And it took about 10 years after they like dragged his name through the mud, and like he died like not even a couple years after, because he was an older fat guy who just like did not take care of himself at all.
Security guard.
He had security guard body.
No,
they didn't have
regular Paul Blart.
They didn't have like he is Paul Blart. He really is like, and you would recognize Paul Walter. So it's like they can just manufacture evidence at any point, and like it's like the whole idea of like you should just never talk to them, like cops or like anyone, like you should just avoid that, like because you can incriminate, like you should not incriminate yourself in any capacity. And this guy was like a trusting guy. He loved law enforcement. He wanted to be a cop, and like there's a great scene in the movie where they show him like they're like, do you have any guns? And he's like, yeah, of course. This is Georgia. And like they go to his house and it's just wall to wall full of guns. It fucking rocks.
Did he also live with his mother?
Yes.
Yeah, I knew it.
Played by Margot Martindale as a fucking sweetheart.
Fucking knew it.
They tortured his poor mom. They went through her stuff. Like, oh, it's such a good movie. I highly recommend Richard Jewell by
I'm gonna watch
Clint
it.
Eastwood. It's I've got a bunch of weird movie recs throughout all this.
I believe it.
When I was coming up with all my material for you guys, so Declan had messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want to talk about like old Philadelphia power families or old Philadelphia like anything, like just any structural thing about Philadelphia?" And I'm like, I don't really know ancient stuff except for like DuPont, and like I don't really know DuPont too well. How about I come on and I get like 6 or 7 things, and I just freak you guys out with weird shit I know about Philadelphia / some of the weird philosophies I subscribe to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna smoke a bowl of weed.
Okay.
And let's fucking start this. What do you guys think?
Good.
There is some stuff I have to make sure I say allegedly a couple times, but other than that,
Dude, who cares?
I really owe a lot to my stepdad on being like the conspiracy minded person I am, because like my parents are both like moderate middle ground conservatives. They're not like party people.
Yeah.
So like
They're normal people. It sounds like they got divorced too. Your parents?
both my mom and my stepdad have been married 3 times each.
That's
Ooh.
normal.
Yeah. And then like now they're married obviously to each other. And like, yeah, like, and my parents are great.
I'm sorry. That sounded terrible. I feel like that sounded terrible.
It's fine. But like, I mean, like my stepdad's like a very conspiracy minded person. I used to read all these ancient alien books and stuff that he had. And like,
That's dope.
he just like, my parents have like a certain way about how things are supposed to be, but like you're allowed to like engage with that stuff. And then my dad is just a total fucking like the government's evil, all this shit. Like it's great. My dad for a while there, he's not this way anymore.
It's funny. We never talked about that shit in the house growing up.
The rhetoric that was pushed to us was like, the guy in charge that I voted for is doing a great job.
My
W.
my dad was into like that. Do you remember like when when Facebook was first coming on and like everyone got really into atheism and smoking weed and libertarianism all around the same time? Yeah, I call it.
I mean, does everybody have an older brother? Is that
Well, I mean, yeah, I was like in 6th grade, and like I remember like I had already had issues with like I was raised Catholic, and like
How old are you?
27. I don't know why I
okay.
paused.
I'm just trying to see in comparison. I thought you were older.
Yeah, I look old. I know. Hard living, dog. And
Ohio will do that, dude. Oh, in the water. Sorry.
anyways, yeah, and so
Dude,
like,
I'm excited to get into this. I'm happy that your
fuck.
your stepfather's had such an influence on you on this shit. It's a cool tidbit. I was asked him, Raymond. He's never listened to Sam Tripoli.
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah, so
yeah, I'll have to. Hit me with the Sam Tripoli. What's the deal? Because I am curious. We
I mean,
he has 2 podcasts. What we got into it, where me and Raymond, like, I'd say, like, actually, I think this is the best way to put this. Me and Raymond, we're both growing older in our early 20s, I guess, like at where we were at.
We were just laborers.
Yeah,
we just worked labor jobs all day, and
and we would like bond over a few things. You know, smoking some weed, drinking some beers, fishing occasionally, or a podcast that we both listened to, which was Sam Tripoli and Johnny Woodard on the Tinfoil Hat podcast, or Broken Simulation, which was a secondary podcast that they had created at one point. And there's also a couple other ones, but Sam Tripoli is a comedian, LA based. Johnny Woodard is also an LA based comedian that was also his producer as well. They do conspiracy theories as well as they interview people like, you know, just much like yourself, someone who's an expert or a person that has a lot of
a drunk who reads this stuff all night.
Yeah, a guy who obsesses. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
People that like have a
Listen,
you know,
I could
a
have
good
been into
take.
trains.
Brother, actually, we're gonna bring that up in a second.
Oh.
There's a whole fucking. We'll wait a second on that one. He told me this last night, dude. It's not just conspiracy theories. It's also more like current events with people that have an interesting theory on something you didn't know there was a theory to have about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you. What type of baking do you do? That's the weirdest thing I've ever fucking heard. Like he'll talk to somebody that has like they're a niche person for this type of specialty of this type of history or this type of.
He'll just get into like it could be JFK, or he could be getting into like horoscopes and gematria with people, or
like JFK, a person, or like a person that specifically uses a certain type of healing and a type of belief system, or it was any other podcaster, you know what I mean? But he's a good comedian. He's a little bit more out there. He's one of those guys that's like all about trans people and very like open, liberal minded, very outspoken person. He's a cool dude, and like he fits in his LA comedy.
Sounds like he did something really bad.
He was a notorious
recovering drug addict.
Yeah, a notorious drug addict.
No, I meant like, I know. I just whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways.
He good podcast. Definitely shout out to the tinfoil hat podcast. It probably inspired me and you to get into this.
Yeah.
Nice. When I worked at a guitar parts warehouse for like all of COVID, my friends and I were all that way with Behind the Bastards, Chapo Trap House, and other just weird shit. We would listen to oddball Rogan episodes. I'm not like a advocate Rogan listener, but
but everybody that's into podcasts, if they've been listening for a while,
You've come across Rogan.
you've listened to Rogan for a little bit.
I was listening to Rogan back when it was like the low 200s.
Yeah.
Like,
Same. Early hundreds.
Yeah.
And like I love him for Fear Factor, I really do, and like I love his special Strange Times. Like he has some good stuff. Everyone, I won't defend him to the hilt because it's that is not worth any hill.
People
but
change
shouldn't have
over
to-
their.
I don't think you should have to defend something that you.
There are a lot. H3 sucks, and like it is ugly. Like that's my bigger him, and then his girlfriend or wife is like annoying. Like they both suck, and like they do okay content. And actually, I gotta be careful. I can't be shitting on people in the business.
Fuck
Not that-
them.
'cause
Dude, we
when
ain't
listen
shit.
to this. He
We
name
ain't-
searches.
Yeah, bullshit.
Oh no,
We ain't
no, no!
shit.
Yeah.
I don't, dude.
Oh.
You can talk about whoever the fuck you want.
I trash all of my friends and
yeah.
Oh, Philadelphia comedy. I'm ready.
dude, who cares?
Yeah.
I got a lot of my like understanding of different theory from him, but like I get where I was going with this. He's changed as a podcaster over the entire development of his show. So you brought up having to defend him.
I don't know. No, don't get me
Like,
wrong. I don't have to. I
no,
don't.
nobody does. I don't defend him
I'm
whatsoever.
like, sir, I'll have you know. I'm
I
a proud
definitely
racist.
think like my opinion of him has changed, and I probably don't like him as much as I used to, just because of how
Show
he's
kinda
changed.
sucks now.
Yeah, it's how broadcasters change.
No, the actual issue is that I can't watch clips anymore on YouTube. Like they don't really do the clips anymore. Like
Yeah.
people used to just clip them all the time, but now like Spotify like strikes those down unless they're theirs.
Have you heard of the podcast that's 100% AI generated? Joe Rogan's voice, entire podcast AI generated.
God damn. But like,
What?
I'm sure it sucks. It's like a lot of the stuff that does that. Like it's like those people that do those. Like what if this was a Wes Anderson movie?
Dude, it's
Like
pretty
stuff.
good.
They miss the heart. It's so.
Speaking of
It sounds pretty real.
Speaking of AI, I was in my office in Philly 2 days ago. You know how the whole Harden thing just came out? See James Harden?
What happened?
where he shit
He,
on
Daryl
some-
Morey.
Yeah.
He was at a camp in China, and he was like, "I will not play for Daryl Morey ever again. He's a liar." And he said it twice.
Nice.
And people thought it was fake.
He's in a
Okay.
Chinese jail now.
Yeah, no, you're right. They just locked him up.
They've harvested his organs.
America was like,
stuffed.
lock him up. No, his camp actually came out saying that their intentions were for him to not play in Philadelphia anymore. So it was true, but there was a lot of speculation for the first day or so. And I'm in my office, Sharon Hill, and it's all guys from South Philly. And the one guy goes, "Dude, it's got to be AI. There's no way he was saying that. There's no way it's real."
AI instead of. I thought you would get very strong opinions about
No.
black people instead.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude, you
Right?
know it's bad when people with disgusting
that.
Philadelphia accents.
He's
are
like, "I can't believe he."
dude, it's fucking AI. I can't even believe it.
It doesn't even sound like his voice.
Yeah.
I heard that, and I'm like, "Dude, what is going? Where am I right now?" Yeah, no. All right, so Adomas,
Let's do
take us down the rabbit hole, buddy.
I'm gonna give you guys an easy one. We're just gonna talk about the Philadelphia mob for a second, mainly like the stuff like adjacent to like the Irishman. Wild fact: my grandfather is buried in the same cemetery as Frank Sheeran, the character from
Do you know what the cemetery is? Which one is that?
Holy Cross Cemetery in Yeadon.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've got a photo with it somewhere.
that's dope.
We're from all over Philadelphia and
Yeah.
Delaware County. I mean, our grandparents lived in Norwood, in that whole stretch, North
I
Philadelphia.
delivered mail in Norwood the other day.
Yeah, our grandfather, our great uncle actually had a maintenance yard and a junkyard in like Norwood and everything, and
Yeah.
that whole stretch down there.
So he knew
like,
the mob 100%.
oh, dude, we're
those guys 100%.
Also, I've said this to him before, and my dad probably hates when I bring this up or hears about it, but our family was all jewel thieves. That's what his family was. They were jewelry thieves, and they were part of like Irish mobs, and
They were gamblers.
they were gamblers and jewel thieves.
Hell yeah.
Like we have stories about like tractor trailers getting stolen, and like they're in the middle of a row home street, and it's like it sounds like a fucking like gangster movie.
Yeah.
You're like, get the fuck out of here that happened.
Yeah. So I always am obsessed with the Irishman story because like obviously the death of Hoffa is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Hoffa's insane like as a labor leader, and like everyone really forgets that part. Like that's the big thing about Hoffa.
Yeah.
A woman gave me a Hoffa theory 2 days ago.
Nice.
The old lady. I was in
Hoffa sounds like a really fun
Westfield.
sex act, by the way. Let me get you a half a theory in the back real quick.
She literally brought up, she's like, of course it was the waste management company over here, and she said that it was the waste management company in Brooklawn and Westville got rid of his body at a pig farm.
My aunt claims that he's buried underneath the stadium.
Everybody does.
In New York.
Which stadium? Never specified. In Philly.
I thought the
Uh,
story was it was in
Meadowlands.
the Meadowlands, right?
The
In
old
Jersey.
Meadowlands.
Is
Old
that
Meadowlands.
Jersey or no?
Yeah, it's Jersey
Yeah.
up in what the fuck is that? It's not New Brunswick, East Rutherford.
Yeah.
No.
He was buried under the old Meadowlands, apparently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories. I've had people tell me that he was eaten by pigs after he was murdered. And
that takes too long. That's so much work. They'll just burn the body.
Yeah, right. No, they said because they ate the whole thing.
Like Deadwood.
So yeah, fuck yeah. No, so like the Philadelphia mob, all I really have ever known about them is that they are insanely fucking violent, like way more than any other mob organization. Like, there's that nice little clip in The Irishman where they just like start like showing how everyone dies, and like pretty much it goes nuts after Angelo Bruno dies. He dies in a car bomb.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the guy played by Harvey Keitel, and like he pretty much was okaying everything. He was huge, and like his big thing was that you couldn't traffic drugs, which is bullshit. They were 100% trafficking heroin in, but like,
Well, I think also meth was blowing up at the time. I think wasn't it?
meth is a weird one because you can make it.
Because I know Philadelphia and the Carolinas were connected. It was like a hub there was a production of meth going. A lot of the same guys that were in the mob in Philadelphia were connected to this North Carolina mob family.
Yeah.
And basically it was coming out through there and going back and forth.
I can't picture mobs in North Carolina.
I can.
Yeah.
I can. What's
Dude,
that place? What's
mobs
the Myrtle
pop up in the
Beach?
weird-
The Myrtle Beach Mafia, baby. Yeah. No,
I just can't not think of Danny McBride.
Well, I mean, one of the big
With a Carolina squat truck, just fucking
There's
doing
the-
mob shit.
there's a New York and Philadelphia hub in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Famously so.
Famous, very famous.
For reference, that's where when in The Sopranos, when Paulie goes to jail for a season, he gets caught with a gun charge in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where,
yeah.
and like that's just there's so much weird shit with Youngstown, and like
I've met a lot. I've met like club guys from they're fucking. It's weird. It's so weird. There's a whole thing going on in there.
Like I said, I don't know a ton about the Philadelphia mob. I just really wanted to bitch about The Irishman and that book.
Do you see the Merlino crime family come up? Like Joey Merlino?
No,
That's like the most popular like name when you hear.
Oh wait, no, yeah, he's like the young guy. He's like an IG guy. He's Instagram guy, right? Like he was like the younger one of like he was like 30 when he came up, and like everyone else was like 50 something. And
I'm not sure.
I forget what it is. There's
one guy
in
who's
Philly.
like the next guy for like the Philadelphia mob is like all of them are like super into Instagram. They're like hype beasts. It's hilarious.
That's so funny. No, I'm talking about people from like the 60s, 70s, 80s. Joey Merlino was like apparently the Italian mob leader in Philadelphia for years.
Well, it was Bruno, and then he was killed, and then it became.
There's another family.
Oh yeah.
There's another family.
Well, but the main one is the Bruno Scarfo family, and then
the Merlino family had a lot of Irish connections, and is where the IRA had a lot of its
they're in
connections.
Irish hell. So.
Yeah, the Merlino family had a lot of Irish connections, and the whole like the K&A gangs up in North Philly and everything. They were connected in like to the IRA in North Ireland.
Hell yeah.
Which is nuts, and there's has a large part to do in like all the chaos and the bombings in Philly and all the shit that was going on in those years.
Well, yeah, and so after Angelo Bruno dies, then it's this guy named Phil Testa, and he just gets blown up with a fucking nail bomb under his porch.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He gets eviscerated. I've been like trying to find like all these guys as like burial sites because I'm just like, this is wild. It's hilarious.
So, do you think the movie covers the Hoffa theory correctly?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think he was probably killed the way about it seemed.
In Chicago?
Michigan.
Is it Michigan? Yeah, that's what it is.
They're out there for a wedding.
The Red Fox thing, whatever.
The Red Fox, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the country club.
The thing with that is like the thing that bothers me about it is there's this guy, and this will get into like, or we'll get more into this. Michael Francesi. He's a Colombo family underboss. He's like the only living guy right.
That's in New York.
New York.
Group,
He's a Five Families guy, and he claims that he knows who probably killed Hoffa. He's like, it was not Frank Sheeran. But here's my problem. Michael Francesi is a mob guy who is a born-again Christian and never shuts the fuck up about the mob. He's like a YouTube guy.
I've heard of this guy.
He
I've heard of this
sucks. He pisses me off because I'm like, you're fucking constantly talking about the mob. You're breaking the one fucking rule.
Is he bullshitting?
I think what he is OPSEC for the FBI.
Like
he's controlled opposition.
controlled opposite. Okay, yeah.
He's the breadcrumb.
Yeah, and he just gets to he totes the line on whatever the fuck they want. I think it's better for the FBI if everyone thinks that the mob didn't kill kill Hoffa. Because I mean, he was one of the most prominent labor leaders in the country, and a guy who was also the other labor leader of the country, Walter Reuther, who was considered for vice president with JFK. Who was like they were going to go on strike over MLK's assassination and like stuff with all the, very progressive guy, one of the most progressive unions in the country, United Auto Workers. He had multiple assassination attempts on him, and then his plane suddenly crashed and he died. And so like 2 major labor leaders died like in a pretty relevant time period, and they were probably like Walter Reuther was probably like 100% assassinated. It's
a little too concurrent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so like Hoffa being assassinated as well, like
That's weird.
it's concerning because like the U.S. government has never actually hesitated to work with the mob ever. And there's a book I've read. It's called "Drug Cartels Do Not Exist," and then I recently read Gomorrah, which is the book about the Italian, the Sicilian mafia, and they pretty much argue that like these are all kayfabe. They're not real. They are guys that we let operate. This actually ties in person. Have you seen The Departed?
Yeah,
I have not. No.
You've never seen The Departed?
Oh fuck!
Maybe.
It was
Yeah.
on the PS3, dog.
This part doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
I'm not spoiling it for you horribly.
yeah. There's
the-
no such thing as a spoiler alert on a 20-year-old movie. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
spoiler alert, whatever. Jack Nicholson plays a mob boss in it who informs pretty much for the FBI. He is the head of the Boston family.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be Whitey. It's supposed to be Whitey Bulger. Isn't
It's
it?
kind of Whitey
It's a
Bulger.
hint. It's
And
something
he is just straight up like he's informing on people honestly. Like their head guy is the guy who forms the mob, turns over people all the time, and then hands them over. And so that's like why the mob really exists. It's not real in that sense. Like first off, it was a conspiracy to believe that the mob is real. This thing of ours, Cosa Nostra, is a conspiracy. There is actually no technical evidence for it.
Yeah.
Which is why I like talk about the nature of conspiracy and how it works that way. There is no evidence that the mob exists technically. Like it's not a real thing. No organized.
It's all wolf speak. It's all like the
Yeah.
stories of the families and the stories in Italy and everything.
It was
It's
a
all,
conspiracy to believe that the Cosa Nostra existed. It's wild to me.
So I'm guessing there must be some type of papers or like things from the government that,
I mean, we
that
understand
are classified
we
about
understand
these
how
things,
an
right?
organization works. So I argue pretty much that like the mob pretty much just exists for the government.
Yeah.
Did you watch Boardwalk Empire? Fuck. You said you watched Deadwood. I was like, hell yeah, we're on the same page. Lucky Luciano, who is one of the main founders of the
Mhm.
families, and Meyer Lansky, who is Jewish mafia, they pretty much were our guys. We broke Lucky Luciano out of Italian prison to bring him here to the U.S. to union bust the docks during World War II.
Interesting.
Yes, and so like we have had an affiliation with those guys forever. Then there's like, you know about Murder Inc.
heard of that. I don't
Yeah,
know why I
that's
can't
like the mob system for assassinating and killing targets. And they're like, yeah, they stopped doing it in 1935 or whatever year it was. And it's like, yep, yeah, that's how highly effective programs work. They just,
They just
do
stop.
them, and then they find out they're wrong, and then they stop doing them.
Like who stopped it? Like what are you talking? That's
Yeah, they claim that they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
It was incorporated pretty much into like the intelligence community's forms of assassination, and we use the mob for everything. I mean, that was
So who do you think is instructing the mob? Is this a 3-letter name?
handlers,
Okay. Like
Handlers.
CIA, FBI, what is this?
all of them.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't CIA for international reasons, and obviously CIA has never hesitated. That's against their
They'll have a
charter.
different role.
Yeah, you can pretty much use them for anything. It's great. They can traffic any stolen goods you need. If you saw The Irishman, there's a great little scene where Frank Sheeran delivers a bunch of guns to.
I love that scene.
I think it's not in the
He's like,
original.
Frank,
it's
drive
only
the
in-
truck. He's like, drive the truck down to Florida and deliver it down to the Miami port, right?
for the war for the Bay of Pigs invasion with
It's like,
what
Yeah.
the fuck is that guy's name? The redhead guy. Fucking goddamn it, I can't remember. Like, it's been
because
so-
they cut to a scene where he's giving a speech on the Senate floor.
yeah, Bobby Kennedy. Yeah,
He's like, he shakes the guy. He's like, he's got a big head with weird ears. The guy with weird ears. He was a fucking.
I know. I can't fucking remember. Steve. You know who famously played him in JFK is Joe Pesci. And I gotta look.
Yeah.
David Ferry. God damn. David Ferry died suddenly of cancer out of nowhere. Also,
Yeah.
right before like when they're trying to like investigate the JFK assassination. Yeah, he shows up as he's a little cameo, which I'm like, that movie's so dumb for cameos. I love it.
It's funny that for being a very main stage movie. Oh, you guys will show that one. It's a funny theory to toss into the main waves because they had to do the book justice. The book kind of like
Charles Brandt wrote The Irishman, or I Hear You Paint Houses. Why the fuck they changed the name of that movie?
Great fucking name.
That book has got a great name. I know it sounds like one of those like edgy lesbian books, like you know, like those queer literature. You'll see them. They're like I know these. No, I don't know why the fuck I was gonna say I know this much to be true. I'm like that's a lyric to a song, but also that is what book titles are now. It sucks. Yeah, The Deer Walks Silently in the Woods. And it's like you don't need 10 words for your book title. Just make it 2. Call it Speed Racer. Done. Fucking. I love that movie. Anyways, though, so like Charles Brandt also wrote a book on JFK, and no one respects it, and everyone called him a huge fucking loser for writing it. They fucking hate him. They're like, he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. It's mostly a cover-up book. Like, it makes no fucking sense. So that's why I'm like, the Irishman stuff is so weird.
Do you think any of these mob individuals were involved with JFK? I don't know if you.
Yes, 100%. Though.
Okay.
So
that leads into this, right?
So I'll kind of pivot out of that. There was this book that was recently released called American Exception by Aaron Good, who is this professor at Temple. It pretty much argues that he wrote a book on the deep state. Now, there's the QAnon sense of the deep state, which is not what I subscribe to in any capacity. They throw that term around pretty loosely, but it's the state within the state, obviously, in that sense. And he argues a tripart model. There's the public-facing portion of it, which is our government. There's the military aspect of it, and then there's literally everything else, which includes like the mob specifically. The mob is the criminal part of it that can act where they can't, and they can pretty much do assassinations, help facilitate movements, anything illegal. That's the illegal side that really works really well for them. So when they were talking about the deep state, it's like it's the state. It's pretty much when your state is acting in the favor of pretty much just like wealthy, moneyed interests at the top level. It's like, yeah, I mean that's kind of how that one works. I don't know the mob, and so like the mob falls into it that way pretty easily. Like we assassinated the prime minister of Italy after World War II. Well, we quote unquote in these operations. It's complicated, but for the short of it is after World War II.
Is this Mussolini?
After Mussolini was dead and hung, everyone, if you ever want to see a crazy photo, look up the photo of him and his wife hung up upside down.
Yeah, just hung him in the streets.
Motherfucker had it coming.
Yeah, right.
Fuck Mussolini.
That's
an easy one.
That's an easy one.
The main like group of resistance in Italy after World War II and like in most of Europe were the communists. Like they were the most ardent anti-fascists. And so like we would use the mob to help in Italy help assassinate a lot of those guys, and like a lot of like deep state structural stuff and stuff with Vietnam all like form around that time. It's weird. That's just like kind of a light tangent. I will get to the real meat of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And so what this is a book called Program to Kill: The Politics of Serial Murder by David McGowan. He passed away in 2015. He was this independent researcher. His research is not 100% accurate. I will always like disclaim that, but for the most part, he is an incredible writer. And I read this book and it changed my brain and how you can't look at crime the same way ever again. It really fucks you up. So one of the main stories to understand this that he uses in the first part of the book is the case of Henry Lee Lucas. He was a serial killer, and according to all statistics, the most prolific serial killer in the United States history. He claims to have been born in a pretty much like a child mill across the border in Mexico that is part of a satanic cult.
I forget what happened, but there was like some type of situation where they found him out where like someone ended up like a welfare visit or a call, and a police officer showed up to the house and he had a skull as an ashtray in his living room. I don't think that's Henry Lee. Am I thinking of a different person?
I don't know who you're thinking off the top of my head.
There's another very prolific serial killer who was just a farmer that like was just like chopping bodies and making ashtrays.
The thing with Henry Lee Lucas, so he's accused of committing over 600 murders.
Jesus Christ!
Now,
all in Texas?
No, across the country. So
this is the one you brought up to me in the car, right?
So this is like understanding like the Program to Kill explains, like he pretty much argues that serial killers don't exist really in the way we understand them, and it's a pretty big critique of how like police departments work even if you don't take a lot of the satanic and hypnotism stuff that he has in here, if you just take some of the more basic stuff, it will really fuck with you. So Henry Lee Lucas is on death row in Texas in like, I think 1997, 98. He's been there for like 30 years. I think he was arrested pretty early on. And
not that early. He killed 600 fucking people.
Well, the plot twist, he did not kill 600 people.
Dude, he's putting up fucking...
And, well, hold on. So this is... Yeah.
Putting up numbers, dude.
Yeah.
Put numbers on the board.
He gets a stay on his death sentence by one George W. Bush, governor of Texas at that time, is the only person that he pardoned from the death penalty in Texas. Like, George Bush got so many people executed. He was the most people have been executed under George Bush, more than any other governor. He liked executing people. Fine, whatever. I don't give a shit. Well, I do, but. And he pardons Henry Lee Lucas to commute it only down to life. Because it turned out that he did not commit 600 fucking murders. He committed probably a lot, probably maybe closer to 30. What they did was they took him, and he also had a friend that off the top of my head, I can't remember his name, who was also a serial killer. And allegedly
serial killer
hanging out at the bar.
Yeah, they were. No, there's some weird shit around these guys. But anyways, they took them after they'd been arrested and took them on a tour of the country where they cleaned out all the unsolved murders from a lot of old police departments. They're like, oh, who killed this guy in Baltimore, Maryland? Oh, yeah, we did it.
They just started pinning him.
They pinned them all on them. They would just, because he would just confess to it. And so it's shoddy police work, obviously, but like that was the idea. That's what they're doing. I don't really cover him too much in this, but Ted Bundy is probably one of those. Ted Bundy,
I was
there's a
say,
lot of murders he really could not have committed.
Yeah.
He probably did that sorority house in the story, like of whatever the fuck he did.
Yeah.
But he's weird.
I've heard that plenty of times.
Like a bunch of murders, so what the main theory is that they put a bunch of murders on people after they commit them. After they commit, normally you've committed 1 to 2. But also one of the main arguments of this book is that
weak numbers, by the way, 1 to 2. Weak
so
numbers.
I'm gonna talk about 3 people, and then I'm gonna explain Operation Phoenix. If you know what Operation Phoenix is from Vietnam, I will loosely do these real quick.
No, you're good. Take as much time as you like.
So that was Henry Lee Lucas. He was awful. It's fucking easy. You've probably heard of these 2 people, well, at least one of these people, Jeffrey Dahmer, Gary Heidnik, and Dennis Nielsen.
Dennis Nielsen.
Dennis Nielsen is a British serial killer. So he's kind of an oddball in what I'm going to explain. These guys all were what they call collectors. They would take people, they would hold them captive, and then they would kill them.
Mm-hmm.
And normally commit some form of cannibalism. All 3 of these guys were in the military. They were stationed in West Germany during the Cold War. Dennis Nielsen was British, so he's not at the same base, but he was part of allegedly some MK Ultra style experiments on him.
This is getting fucking crazy.
Jeffrey Dahmer was in MK Ultra, and Gary Heidnik was dosed with something. He was not in the same program as Dahmer, but was exposed to a similar chemical issue that fucked his brain up pretty crazy. And so all 3 of these guys are over there. And around that same time, he alleges in this book that a bunch of people were turning up, like a bunch of headless corpses were turning up around this time. It's just weird. Nielsen's not too important, but so you got to get the structure of what I'm saying there. Like, this is a weird pattern. Why the fuck is that happening?
Yeah.
And so that's where I get into Operation Phoenix, which is a program that we enacted during Vietnam. It was a terrorism program, a fear-spreading program, whatever you want to call it, where we would do everything imaginable to the victims, the corpses, the bodies, etc., of Vietnamese people using these elite killers that we had, Green Berets, etc., special intelligence, any type of group, to strike terror and fear into the civilian population of Vietnam.
Jeez.
That is the basic way of understanding that.
So, like, effective mutilation to cause like a fear mongering.
Yeah, or like we did something in the Philippines one time where there was allegedly, and it's so fucking dumb. There's an alleged rumor that the Filipinos believed in like a local myth of a cryptid type vampire, and so they took a body. These local American forces took bodies and were draining them of all their blood and then hanging them up in trees to scare the forces. They didn't believe it. it's psychological terror.
Yeah.
We have, programs dedicated into our military and government, all sorts for that shit. We have a special psychological warfare program. We have all sorts of stuff we know about, don't know about. You get the idea. So, well, during Vietnam and before it, we had a very big issue with civil unrest, and people don't really like a lot of the stuff we're doing, blah, blah, blah. Like, the government's having a big pain in the ass of that. So...
Yo, let the dog in. I don't want someone to murder him.
Are you getting paranoid?
Nah, I feel like someone's going to murder the dog now. Roscoe. Oh, he's dead, dude. He's gone.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. So...
All right, Jesus Christ. You okay?
Yeah. I mean... Where was I?
It's documented very well that
we know we did that 100%. The extent is probably wild. I think it's like 100,000 people were killed through it, which is insane numbers to put up.
So run me the same. Which people? 3 of these people?
Nielsen, Dahmer, and then
They were all stationed in East Germany, and they probably all went through similar MK Ultra type.
So the
experiments.
assumption is these people were the ones performing these acts.
So hold that. This is what's happening in Vietnam. We probably did it in Korea and several other places. But we're doing domestic terror programs. And so like there's an argument that the FBI and the CIA took this program and brought it to the US and did an operation, a domestic Operation Phoenix in the US through serial killers. That is what he kind of argues in this book.
Is that they were doing the same thing on US soil?
It's highly effective everywhere else. Why would it not be here? And like it doesn't have to work. You can ignore people. You can take military people. You can take anyone. Charles Manson is probably the most notable example.
Yeah.
He was a domestic terror program. If you read the book Chaos, do you know about Chaos? Or you listened to the Rogan interview with Tom O'Neill?
Heard plenty about Charles Manson to know enough about it.
And I'll get to COINTELPRO again here in a second. The FBI had a program of encouraging radical people to be infiltrated and have groups like the Manson family fuck with the Black Panthers and other groups to cause civil riots, all these riots and stuff, and cause different issues and get rid of, a pain in the ass for them. The J. Edgar Hoover didn't like the fucking Black Panthers. That's not fucking hard to figure out. And they would pretty much, they're just like, okay, well, why don't we just do that program, but also with serial killers? It probably would work pretty well.
Yeah.
And Manson was probably one of the first ones in that program. And so that's kind of like what they argue with this book, that serial killers don't really exist. And so I'll give you an example of one. Who do I got? Do you know who Eileen Vernos is? You ever heard of Monster, the movie Monster, starring Charlize Theron?
No.
Heard of it.
She's a baddie.
She's a rock.
She is the first woman executed in the state of Florida.
Okay. I've heard a little bit.
It was a 1998 movie starring her called Monster. I think it's Academy Award winning. I think it's Best Picture. No, it's not Best Picture. It's up there. I think she won Best Actress. And Eileen Vernos was a prostitute who was horribly abused, had the worst fucking life imaginable. And she later killed 7 Johns. And, well, it's actually 8, I should clarify, I think, if I'm correct on that. And she killed all these Johns, and they called her a serial killer for it. I would probably argue, no, it was probably crime of desperation. But one of these guys that she's accused of killing, she probably did not kill. But she had his car. He had been murdered, probably unrelated, and she had purchased the car illegally and was in the process of being on the run, and they just pinned that murder on her. So that's like what they do. Any of these types of murders can be just pinned on anyone. It doesn't really matter. The Zodiac Killer, was the Zodiac Killer one guy or 20 fucking different people acting all fucking weird for military experiments? Pretty good evidence that it was not one guy. It doesn't really match up. And so like you get like, it makes it really easy to deal with these crimes. There was a guy in Texas recently. They had let him out. He had committed murder of a child. And then they're just like, hey, by the way, he's been murdering people for like the last 10 years. It's like, damn, that's crazy. How the fuck did that happen?
No way.
Or there was a case in Cleveland, Ohio, where a guy who had a fucking parole officer had 3 fucking people in his basement for years. And it's just like, what the fuck? How? He lived in a fucking shack. And then he died. He managed to kill himself in his prison cell, right, in Columbus, Ohio.
Of course.
Right while he was on trial. It's like, how do these things fucking happen? Like, and it's like, well, McGowan argues that it's all domestic terrorism, like to scare the fuck out of you, because it's highly effective. You get what you want. The police get more funding. The FBI get more funding. They get to do whatever the fuck they want to people.
Scaring my butthole.
It's also like, it's all like downstream of MK Ultra, controlling people's hearts and minds, and terrifying people. And like, it's like they said they stopped doing MK Ultra research, in the 70s. And they're like, yeah, we just didn't figure anything out. We didn't figure out how to hypnotize people or control their minds. And it's like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah. We just stopped. We didn't think there was anything useful. And like a lot of that stuff that's crazy.
Again, we found a working program. We're done.
Yeah, MK Ultra was wild because they took all that research pretty much from like around the world, but also all the illegal fucking experiments the Nazis did on Jewish people in the concentration camps.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. That was the first part of a long-form conversation we had with Adomas. Follow the show on Instagram at 555 Let Me Call You Back and on Facebook at the Let Me Call You Back podcast. You can follow Declan at Declan Loves Meatballs, and you can find me at Ray_Brooks, BROOX. If you want to see more from Adomas, you can find him on Instagram at The Rhinestone Cowboy. See you next week, guys.